At age 50, we can start catch-up contributions. At age 55, it allows us penalty-free access. And if we don't sign up for Medicare, then there's a whole bunch of penalties that come into effect. These are times that we need to be planning for before they happen. If we do it correctly, all of these things put hundreds of thousands of more dollars in our pockets and stay in our accounts because we were smart about using the system to our advantage.
Unfortunately, they can shut on you, and sometimes you can't reopen them. So when it comes to your retirement savings and windows opportunities that happen, this is what the real twist is, that happen years before, sometimes decades before you plan to retire. So let's talk about the areas of opportunity that you want people to know about in regards to doing this by this age. If not, the benefit may be gone.
Sure. So let's talk about the limited time offers, or they come until they're gone, or whatever. So, we're in tax season now. Most people are not aware of that, but from the very beginning of the year all the way to April 15th is considered quote unquote tax time. Now, the truth of the matter is you can't do squat about most of it. You needed to have done all that December 31st of the previous year, right? That's the truth. But it's just like those things, we're in that tax filing time. So right now, let's talk about some of the things that we need to pay attention to if we're looking at limited time only. Now, there's certain ages that make a big difference. And I've actually got a list here. I got to put it out here because I got to remember myself, because they change the tax law. They change the rules all the time. We got to look at it. But this is a big one that affects me, believe it or not, and then so many people now. At age 50, that's when you mentioned that most of these things start, and it's true. At age 50, we can start catch-up contributions. Now, this means just because we've attained 80 years of age, simply because of that, we can put more money into our 401ks. Why is that a big deal? Well, two reasons. Number one, if we put it away, we're not taxed on that as ordinary income in that year, which is good. Number two, for a lot of us, me included, when we started saving money when we were younger, we couldn't put that much money away. Let's be real. I mean, we needed every $15 and $20 increment we had so that we could pay for that house, or we could pay for that car payment, or pay for the insurance payment, or put the kids through school. Right. And I'm not saying that just by the time we get 50, then we're, the kids are out of the house and all that kind of stuff. To the opposite, most of us have tremendous bills, either high school or college payments and things like that. But the truth is that this is one of those things that they do not give you any reprieve. So if you don't put extra money in those extra contributions after age 50, it's gone. You can't add it back. Say, I didn't put it in for the 3 previous years. It's over. Can't do it. So 50 is a big one. Number two, and here's a big one. We actually had a client that we talked about this several months ago, but at age 55, it allows you to actually tap into your IRA or your 401k at work if you needed access to it. Here's the thing. So we've had a lot of folks in the region that have been, I'm not going to call them laid off, right-sized, if you will. And it's unfortunate. We're seeing it across the entire nation. We're seeing Google lay people off, Block lay people off. We're seeing all kind of UPS laying people off. Consistently, we're seeing these things, and they're doing it to their cheapest employees. No, they're doing it, unfortunately, to their more expensive employees, the ones that are in their 50s going into their 60s or early 60s. And unfortunately, why are they doing that? Because they're trying to cut a tremendous amount of overhead and replace those with AI bots or younger people or less expensive people. And of course, healthcare costs as well. So you can't 100% fault companies for doing it, but it does seem like it's insult to injury if you're getting quote unquote right-sized right when you're in your 50s. But at age 55, it allows us penalty-free access to those 401k funds even before we're 59 and a half. Now, that's a big one, right? Because most of us have heard, we can't touch that IRA money, that 401k money, until we're over 59 and a half. You're going to pay a penalty. Well, the rule of 55 allows us to actually tap into some of those funds without penalty if we need to, because we've left employment, if it's in that 401k. So this is important. As soon as you get laid off, do not immediately roll over that 401k into an IRA. You cannot do it with an IRA. You can only do it with a 401k company-sponsored plan. And this is if you're 55 or all the way up to whatever age, but 55 to 59 are the issues we got to worry about. So when you're looking at that, make sure you don't move all those monies until you know you're not going to need to access those funds. Super important, right? Because my standard rule of thumb is, hey, as soon as you've left that employer, roll that 401k into your own IRA that you can control. You can control the fees. You can control the investments. You can make it super safe. You could turn it into a pension. You could do anything. But the caveat is if you're over 55, you might need to access some of those monies and you would not want to pay a 10% penalty. So that's 55. Okay.
Yep.
Moving up to 59 and a half. This is when you can pull money from your IRAs penalty free. So if you pull it out before 59 and a half, except for that 55 rule we just talked about, you'd pay a 10% fee if you pulled it out before that. At 59 and a half, there is no 10% penalty to access that money. So 59 and a half, okay? That's also when 59 and a half is also when you can do an in-service withdrawal, which means, and this is a big one, right? This is what I typically tell people to consider. If you are over 59 and a half and you're working for a company, you have your 401k through that company.
Yeah.
At 59 and a half, you can take that money, even if you're going to stay with that company and work there for the rest of your life, you can still take those assets and do what they call an in-service, which means you're staying with that company, you're in service with that company, withdraw that money and convert it into your traditional IRA in your own name. Now, why do I like this? Well, because you then get to control your money. You get to make the decisions. You don't care about what that 401k company told you to do. You can take your money to Vanguard or Schwab or Fidelity or put it with an insurance company or put it in a bank. You can do whatever you want. And often the fees are lower, or they can be as low as you want them to be. Sure. Technically, the fees can almost be zero if you wanted them to be. So 59 and a half is a big age for control over funds. So that is a big one. I talked to a lady a few months ago, and she was saying, John, I want access to my money because I do not have enough opportunities in my 401k. Yes, they offer Vanguard growth. Yes, they offer some low expensive things that are okay. The problem is I want more protection. I want more protection, and I don't want to just put it in the money market funds. I lost money in stocks. I lost money in bonds last time. I want some safety nets. I want some assurances. I want some insurance on some of these pieces. She didn't have access to that in her 401k, but within a few months, she was going to turn 59 and a half, and she could do exactly what she wanted. Here's what she wanted. She said, if I could have had a pension through this company, I would have done that the entire time. I don't like the idea of having a big old pile of cash. I love the idea of knowing that the day I quit working, I know exactly what that monthly check is going to be. That's what I want. Well, she can do that if she has access to her own individual IRA. So that's exactly what she intended to doing. Because interest rates are still a little bit high right now, she was able to look at 5 or 6 different companies that will give her a guaranteed pension style income for the rest of her life, and then we're going to base that on nearly a 7.2% distribution rate. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's like getting a 7.2% income stream from those assets for the rest of her life. That is still very high. Now, that was specifically for her. Everyone's going to be different. Interest rates will change, but those are the things that you can do if you have control, if that's a situation you're looking for. It's not right for everyone, but those are great things to know that you have opportunities to consider simply just because of an age, 59 and a half.
Yeah.
All right. The last two we're going to hit today, 65. At 65, we have to deal with Medicare, right? Medicare. And if we don't sign up for Medicare, then there's a whole bunch of penalties that come into effect. Now, here's another more important thing. When it comes down to Medicare and looking at when we should claim Medicare, it's going to be based on your tax strategy. Believe it or not, if you want to do Roth conversions, if you want to convert money, if you want to do asset shifting, when you take Medicare, when you sign up for Medicare, will change how much you pay for that every month for the rest of your life. It's called an IRMAA. IRMMA. And IRMAA could potentially be $50 more a month, $80 more a month, $100 more a month, $300 more a month, depending on what your tax strategy is and your income when you turn on your Medicare. Okay. So it's super important. This is a really good thing to sit down and talk to your advisor about. Find out if you do certain tax planning considerations, does it make sense to sign up for your Medicare a little bit earlier, a little bit later, and what do you want your income to be? This is not one of those one size fits all type things. You're going to want to look at that, but that starts around 65. If you have an advisor who does that type of computation, you're going to want to do that. We've seen this put $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a year into people's pockets just by getting those numbers right. Okay. So that's at 55. Okay. And lastly today, age 73. 73 is now the new 70 and a half. That's when we have to start taking RMDs, basically, which is when the government says, hey, I allowed you to tax defer all that money for a good long time. Now it's time to start pulling it out and giving me some of it in the form of taxes. So a lot of the things that we want to consider are gaming the system, playing by the rules, but getting our money in the right places so our RMDs are not too high and cause a lot more taxes in retirement. So before 73, we want to consider those things. But all of these taken in a nutshell, these are times that we need to be planning for before they happen. If we do it correctly, all of these things could put hundreds of thousands of more dollars in our pockets and stay in our accounts because we were smart. It doesn't mean that we're the smartest, just smart about using the system to our advantage.
This is what John and his team are here to show you, how to use the system to your advantage, how to implement these strategies into your plan, knowing what your windows of opportunity are. Again, as I was saying when we first started this conversation, from decades, in some cases, before you plan to retire. If you want to ensure that you're not missing these windows of opportunities, you can begin the conversation with John and his team by connecting with us at retirementsolutionshow.com. We also have links posted in the show notes. We do not want you to miss these windows of opportunity as much as you don't want to miss them. So let's start the conversation. Again, it's retirementsolutionshow.com.